So as a marketeer, I strive for performance. That means making sure that the campaigns that I'm in charge of actually make money or make the result that they're meant to make on a business KPI driven perspective. And in most cases, in many cases, that works really well. But I think one thing that we as marketeers experience, but we don't talk about that often, is the cases where it simply does not work. You launch an initial campaign or you take over a campaign launched by somebody else and it's simply not delivering the results that it should. And that moment kind of leads you to the question, what do you do now? And today I want to kind of talk a little bit about my personal framework that I try to use in these kind of scenarios, how I try to turn around campaigns when they initially might not perform as well as we want them to. The first thing I would usually do when a campaign isn't just quite hitting that target, coming from a growth hacking perspective, the first thing I would do is trying to apply minor tweaks. That means you leave the overall campaign structure untouched, but you do start tweaking on one of the several aspects of the campaign. That might mean testing out different targetings. That might mean split testing your ad copy. That might mean testing out a certain wording or a certain call to action on your landing page, maybe making a minor change to your email sequence. So that would be the first step in trying to turn around a campaign, just doing minor A/B test type of tweaks in order to slowly bend the campaign towards profitability. Now, if you have enough time and if you are seeing a slow but gradual movement towards the goal, or ideally a fast movement towards the goal, then that's the way to go. However, if that does not work, then I would come to my second step. And my second step would be a restructuring of the campaign. Now, when I'm talking about a restructuring of the campaign, I'm basically saying this, I would call it like almost like an operation at the open heart of a doctor. So essentially, you're leaving, the entire funnel is meant to continue working after your changes. So you're not trying to create something completely new, but you are rearranging major points of your campaign in order to get it towards being profitable again. So for me, a restructuring would be something where if you have a funnel of several steps, you would replace an entire step. Maybe you have a completely different retargeting structure afterwards. Maybe you add a layer of nurturing that does not exist. So for example, instead of having a 2-touch ad campaign, you now have 3 touches because you add a nurturing sequence in between. Maybe you add a layer of email warm-up campaigns that have not existed before, or maybe also you remove a certain aspect of the campaign. If you're seeing that part of your retargeting is just burning your money, then you might want to make the funnel actually more lean, more tight, to make sure that you don't burst out that money at places where it's not actually bringing any results. The most interesting parts of these restructurings is that, like I said, you're trying to preserve the overall structure and just trying to fix the most essential steps in between. So this is something where for a few days you have to be very careful that your entire tracking is still tracking correctly what's going on because you're making major changes, but also that while you're doing these changes, you're not accidentally damaging other parts of your campaign that you might want to leave actually working. So this would be my step in between. And the campaign, this kind of restructuring a campaign, usually for me has proven to be very effective because you can build upon what you've already learned. You can build upon the things that are still or already working, and you can expand it with a layer of additionally really effective ways of converting. So I usually try going for this. But if that does not work, then there is the third step, and the third step would be completely rebuilding the campaign from scratch, basically throwing everything you've had so far, throwing that out and moving towards a completely new structure. So putting away as many elements from the past as you can, removing your old landing pages, making some completely new email sequences, really trying a fresh start. This can be effective, especially if you're either willing to really experiment. Maybe your current funnel has reached its maximum effectivity and there's just like no scaling potential anymore, or maybe it's just never reached any positive ROI and it's time to try something completely different, or maybe you're just feeling super experimental and it doesn't hurt you if you completely risk everything. In that case, a complete campaign reset from zero might make sense as well, although in this case I would really recommend that you still keep track of your knowledge, have a knowledge base where you kind of track, okay, what has worked in my original campaign, what can I build upon, at least in a learning kind of way, so that you keep improving your campaigns even if you build it again from scratch. So yeah, this is my usual approach for turning around campaigns, and like I said, most of the time a restructuring can work wonders and can work towards getting a really effective campaign, whether this is about ad accounts or whether this is about the on-site conversion rate optimization experience. I often do feel like sometimes it's just necessary to really dig in there, do the dirty work, spend a few days of just like restructuring the parts that still work into a perfect funnel that comes out in the end. I look forward to hearing how you handle the situation when an initial funnel is not working as well. Do you also prefer to restructure it, or maybe you want to start from scratch? What are your thoughts on this? I look forward to hearing from you, and I wish you a great weekend.